I'm Rev Pam, Brandman, the Senior Minister here at the Center. And today our service is live streaming on Zoom. We're being very creative. It's been a challenging week, but we're here. And it's my joy to welcome you here to our morning service. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We know that there are many paths to God, but they all end in oneness and in love. We're grateful that each of you is here with us this morning. Our center's purpose is love. Our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. We start our morning by setting our intentions with our receptivity statement that you're going to see on the screen. And the next one, Sawyer. That's the covenant. Now there we go. So this is our receptivity statement, if you would read it along with me. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. Our musician today is Reverend Angelika Schafer, and she calls her music ministry Angelika Healing Music, because when she sings in Sanskrit, English, and German, her music and voice, as you'll hear, are designed to heal, to soothe, and to inspire. So as you listen today, relax and let your heart gently open as you listen. So please help me welcome in Reverend Angelika Schafer, who will be introducing her first song.
Thank you so much. So the first song is the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, and you've probably heard it.
You need to put her on Zoom, Sawyer.
She is.
There you go.
So the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, you have probably heard it many times, but it's the vibration.
Can you highlight her?
We can hear her, Pam.
It's the vibration of the language that is the actual effect. It's similar to Sanskrit, where power is in the...
You just have to unmute yourself.
Oh, Angelika, you're muted?
No.
Oh, she's not, Pam.
not
Everything's
muted? Okay.
fine.
So you can start talking?
She's talking. We're hearing her.
Okay, so Aramaic is similar to Sanskrit, and it's about the frequency of the language, which has an effect on the energy field within and without. So just simply tune into these frequencies and just let them relax and transform. Thank you.
Right now, right here, in this moment, I am with you and you are with me. So now I would like to share with you the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. Each word in Aramaic can have several different meanings, and so it's a very intuitive, fluid language. And it's very different from the version we... In this moment, I am with you and you are with me. So now I would like to share with you the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. Each word in Aramaic can have several different meanings, and so it's a very intuitive, fluid language. And it's very different from the version we know today. O breathing life in all, origin of the shimmering sound, you shine in us and around us. Even the darkness glows when we remember. Your one desire then acts with ours, as in all light, so in all forms. Help us draw a holy breath in which we feel only you, and may your sound ring in us and purify us. May your counsel rule our lives and make our intentions clear for the common creation. May the burning wish of your heart unify heaven and earth through our harmony. Grant us daily the bread and insight that we need, what is necessary for the call of growing life. Release the cords of errors that bind us, as we let go of that which binds us to the faults of others. Do not let superficial things lead us astray, but instead free us from that which holds us back. From you comes the all-effective will, the living strength to act, the song that beautifies everything and which renews itself from age to age. Truly, vitality to these statements. May they be the ground out of which all my actions grow, sealed in trust and faith. Amen. Wunderbar Shemaya, Nechkara Shema, Titi Imalkuta, Sun kanan yomana, wash bochlan chaubin wachdahin, I cannot wash bochlan chaubin wachdahin.
About light. It's about the alignment, and and you'll hear as we talk about in the service today. That's a lot of what we talk about in science of mind, and it's in words that little different meaning. So we'll have to have her play that again in the whole area. But right now, I'd like to introduce our practitioner for the day, who is Reverend Rick Kearney, and he's our associate minister. And Rick has been responsible for several important tasks, such as putting together that weekly constant contact and working with our website consultant on the recent update. But Reverend Rick is probably happiest, though, when he is following his calling to share the inner transformation that spirit and science of mind have made in his life. He also loves to listen to anyone who is exploring spiritual revelations on their own spiritual path. So please help me welcome Reverend Rick Kearney to provide this morning's special reading and invocation.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was just saying that in a world full of apparent conflict and turmoil, chaos and confusion, we are called upon as enlightened beings to know the truth. And that is our connection with all life, all that is, the peace that resides within us, the love that comes to us, and we direct outward unto others. Let us this day recommit ourselves to being the voice and the presence of spirit in human form, now and forever. Our reading today comes from the Science of Mind, and it's applicable to the month's theme of reaching higher. Today's talk, right, when Rev Pam speaks, is When the Road Gets Rocky. And this comes from the Science of Mind, page 436, Entering the Kingdom of Reality. Ernest Holmes says, "It is not everyone who says, 'Lord, Lord,' who enters the kingdom of harmony. Only those who do the will of love can enter. The temple of truth is approached by the pure in heart and entered by those who serve but one master, which is truth. The wise man builds his house on the solid rock of truth and not on the shifting sands of instability. He measures causes by effects and estimates reality by that which is real and enduring. The foolish man, living only in sense perception, has no measure for reality and builds his home on false opinion and erroneous concept. The vicissitudes of fortune upset his frail building. The storms of experience tear the walls apart while the edifice falls about him in ruins. Truth alone endures to eternal day." Let's take this to prayer. Lord, we know that there is but one source, one cause, one breath, one life, one eternal and infinite and perfect reality. And we are extensions of this in human form. We are expressions of that one life. May we bring forth greater love and peace and truth and harmony wherever we go, for we know that truth. And may our world feel that, know that, express that as well. In so many ways, we see apparent conditions, but yet we walk this life knowing the truth of that which is. Thank you for this knowledge. Thank you for all the many gifts that come our way. May we further receive those and express those unto others. And may we be those lenses through which all things good are expressed And together we say, and so it is. Now you'll see me race to the back of the room to play Angelika's next song. But Angelika, I invite you to introduce that, please.
Yes, this song it's called Gratitude. And I wrote that song, or I should say I received that song when I was at a spiritual school, a university in India, where there were people from all over the world gathered. And we were really in a very beautiful state of gratitude there, such magic and connection. And so I put as many words for the word thank you in different languages as I could. And then when I left a few out of the nationalities, and they said, well, you have to write another song now with our words. But I've been teaching this song to children all over the world with just with that gesture of true gratitude.
Two words of power, two words can change your life. Remembered every hour, they can set things right. These words are simple, but they bring you peace. Begin your day and end it speaking this. Thank you, merci beaucoup, shishye. Muchas gracias, Dankeschön. Mahalo, danyawa, obrigado. Grazie tanto, nandri, arigato. Just say thank you for everything you have, as often as you can, for everyone you know. Just say thank you for every breath you take and every step you make in the name of love. Thank you, merci beaucoup, shishye. Muchas gracias, Dankeschön. Mahalo, danyawa, obrigado. Grazie tanto, nandri, arigato. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I couldn't hear a word of that.
Thank you, Angelika. That was being grateful is something, all of the things that are going on, and Rick talked about the things that, if we think that that's all there is, I mean, it's pretty oppressive feeling, but it isn't all there is. It's just this is the snapshot in time of what's playing out. And so this is the road is, if you want the road to get rocky, it's pretty rocky right now, right? Throughout the world. And so how do we shift it? How do we find that wide open highway? How do we get over the bumps? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, when you go through life, this month, we're talking about reaching higher. This slide. And the topic today is when the road gets rocky. But since you know that, let's see, we're just going to jump right ahead. Okay. Now Rick's in sync with me now. All right. So we're reaching higher. And when you reach higher, the road's going to get rocky. And part of the reason that happens is because you're in your comfort zone. It may not be great or maybe good, whatever, but you're in your comfort zone. You kind of know everything. But when you're reaching higher, when you're reaching for something more, you're going into the unfamiliar. You don't know what to expect. Maybe it's something you can easily handle, or maybe it's like this morning when the AV system just has a little more complexity than we were ready to deal with this morning, because we got about 90% there, and so we're on plan D. Next week, hopefully, will be better. But when you're reaching out, you have to be willing to risk. You have to be willing to make a mistake and make it okay. And if someone else is trying, you have to make it okay for them to make a mistake. Now, you want to make sure as much as you can that you're not harming anyone in that process. Do no harm. But that's what change is all about. If you remember when you're a kid and you're playing with the Legos or your Tinker Toys or whatever you had, you have to take it apart in order to build the new design, whatever that's going to be, right? So I'd like to start with a parable that was taught by Jesus, and it's in the book of Mark in chapter 9, and in the King James Version, this story is called "The Demonic Boy Cured." Right? And so the road doesn't get much rockier than when your son is possessed by an evil spirit. I think all of us have had something like that somewhere. If not our child, with a niece or nephew, or a brother or sister, or somebody that we know. And so the story begins. Jesus is walking towards his disciples, and there's a crowd gathering around them. And the scribes were questioning the disciples, and he walked up and he said, "Well, what's going on?" And a man stepped forward and he said, "I brought my son to you. A spirit has taken possession of my son, robbed him of his speech, and he throws him onto the ground with seizures." Well, that's a pretty rocky road, right? And so the man said that, "I spoke with your disciples and they couldn't drive out the evil spirit." So Jesus replied, and this is one of the few times in his life that he showed this much frustration. He said, "Oh, unbelieving generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." So surely enough, the boy had a convulsion right there, fell down on the ground. He's rolling around and foaming at the mouth. It was true. So Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" The father replied, "Well, since he was a child, really. It's often thrown him into the fire or the water. It's trying to kill him, that spirit. But if you can do anything, please take pity on us and help us." And Jesus replied, if I can, everything is possible to a person who believes." That was his level of belief. Everything is possible to a person who believes. And so immediately, with tears in his eyes, the father blurts out, "I believe. Help thou my unbelief." Right? Help thou mine unbelief. What a statement. I believe. Help thou my unbelief. He's right away, he said it, and then he's negated it. Totally opposite, all in one breath almost. And so how many times does that happen to us? We believe with our head, we know what it should be, but in our hearts, we don't really believe it. Well, maybe it might be possible, but maybe not for me, or maybe not in this situation, or maybe not right now, maybe in a few years. But I don't know. And so the father is to be commended here, though, because as soon as he says, "I believe," and he realizes he does, and he says, "Help thou mine unbelief. And that was a prayer, right? That was a prayer. So a crowd was starting to run to the scene, and so Jesus rebuked this evil spirit. You deaf and mute spirit, I command you to come out of the boy and never come back. And so the boy was, the spirit shrieked, and the boy started convulsing and just fell down on the ground, and then he went limp. Everyone thought he was dead. And Jesus went over to the boy, grabbed his hand, lifted him up, and the boy stood up and walked away with his father. Now, a little bit later, when they were in a private room, he and his disciples said, well, why couldn't we drive it out? We did everything we were supposed to do that you taught us. And Jesus replied, this kind can only be cast out by prayer. You know, it's not us, it's not our will that's making this change, that's causing this healing. It's prayer. And that prayer opens the door for spirit to come through, right? We have to be receptive to the power, the one power in the universe to heal, right? So when we hit a rocky road, when we come out of our comfort zone of what we know and we have handled in the past, when we don't know how to handle something, it's time to turn to prayer, right? What a novel idea, right? Since time immemorial, turn to prayer. And Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. Right? So our belief in that prayer is also part of accepting it. Whatever we believe, unconscious or unconscious, says that can be done, it can. And if it says that it can't, it can't. The law will prove us right either way. So if we want to change the outcome, we need to change our belief. We have to, we've said, it's been this way my whole life. It's never going to change. Well, as long as you believe that, that will be true. So we have to change our belief. And this is why, like when we're looking at all these things that are going on in society, we want to look at until now, this is the way it's been. But it doesn't have to be that way. When we look over the cycle of time, and there's a spiral dynamic that development. And so it used to be that people were just involved in the tribal culture, and it was individual survival. Then it went to tribal culture, and then it went up to supporting the kind of the societal good, where but you're working together, and it's generally supporting society. But you don't think about other than your own survival, or like the getting rich, the Machiavellian kind of thing. But then you spiral up and you start thinking about the environment and the good of all people, and of everyone being one. So as you come up in your thinking of the scope of your world, what's important, we come to these higher and higher levels of working together and moving towards working as one, which we are anyway. We just don't see it yet, right? So Ernest Holmes has a great little section in the Science of Mind textbook that talks about the power of belief and faith. This is and it's based on James 5:15. Ernest Holmes says the power of faith is an unconditional belief in both the ability and the desire of spirit to hear and answer. The prayer of faith heals the sick through the law that says whatever the images of thought are held in the subjective side of the mind, but that's what we believe, will tend to appear in the body and in the body of affairs. This essentially sums up the essence of science of mind. It's done unto you as you believe. Change your thinking, change your life. So Ernest Holmes continues, when the prayer of faith penetrates the subjective thought and neutralizes false images, then the sick are raised into health. Okay, now pay attention here to this next part. Even God cannot heal the sick unless the psychological change takes place in the inner creative thought. Right? All is love, but all is law. One balances the other. Love will not depart from its nature. Right? So, when we're working as a practitioner and we pray for someone, if they don't allow that healing to occur, it won't occur. We can know it as the truth. And we know at the level of oneness, at that spiritual level, that it's the truth. But as long as someone's hanging on to that illness as their reality, it's going to stay there. Or whatever, their feeling of lack in their finances, or needing to have a relationship with this person who might be the wrong one. They're not willing to accept any of the other, billions of people in the world. This person, it has to be it. Well, maybe that's not the ideal one. So then, coming back to Ernest Holmes again, when we pray, believing, we erase false ideas from our inner thought. Then the spirit can make the gift of health. When we admit the light, it comes in, since there was no way it could enter except through a receptive mind. See, and the prayer is part of what sets up that receptive mind, because we're asking for something, saying that we're open to receive it. We're asking for the gift. If we could give up our diseases and offer them on the altar of faith to the giver of all life, we would be healed. It is not easy to release our troubles. We are prone to linger with them. Isn't it fun to dwell in that drama of telling that story and get lots of attention, because when all these woe is me, and we might want to tell it over and over because it's a really good story, and how awful our life is. But if we want to change things, we might have to give up that story and try a new positive one in place. So Ernest says, by effectual and fervent prayer, we gradually loose false thoughts into their native nothingness. God is perfect life. And when we enter its life, we are healed. All right. So this is that whole healing process. So change your thinking, change your life. Now, when we reach higher, when we go out of that comfort zone, we're out of that familiar territory into the unknown, the uncertainty. We have to have that faith at that inner level. We see it first at that spiritual level, that inner level, before it manifests on the outside. Right. And this is the whole purpose of Science of Mind, or of any spiritual practice, really, to guide us as we align and unify with that one that is that spiritual truth of who we are, who we always are. And it's about realizing it and seeing it and then manifesting in our lives. I have a few quotes here out of the Science of Mind with some slides here. If we are wise, we will cultivate faith in these realities. This is not, oh, we had that one already. Next one. Okay, there we go. This is not a difficult task, but an exciting experience. And the next quote, our mind must remain firm in the conviction that our life is a part of God and that the Spirit is incarnate in us. Right? We're a manifestation of Spirit. Spirit is working in us, through us, and as us. That is the truth of who we are. And so in the physical world, we see this apparent separation between me and the other, or me and what I want, or something, and me and God, really. And so that is also where we come up with this rocky road, and we're seeing the separation, right? Those rocks and boulders sometimes that are in that road are something that we have perceived that aren't necessarily the truth, right? And the material world is imperfect, and it appears to be at odds with itself sometimes, right? Now, our conscious awareness evolves on our journey of awakening. From wherever we are now, it is a gradual process for our consciousness to evolve to that higher level, and higher and higher. So it's something that we don't, we might be instantly enlightened, but it's probably going to be a gradual process. It's probably going to come through spiritual practice over and over and over. I know that for me, when I first started meditating, and it would take a long time till I got to that place where I really felt that I was centered in spirit and that my mind could stop wandering. And now it's easier. Most days, there's still days when it takes a long time because of all that chatter that's going on in my mind. So we have to be willing to be still and practice. and go with it and let spirit guide us and quiet that monkey mind, if you want to call it that. And so our conscious awareness evolves, and this is how we build our faith as well. Our belief in the divine possibilities. At the spiritual level, there is only one. There's only wholeness, and that is all the time. It's only our perception that falls short. And also, what we're seeing in our lives then is an outward expression of our inner belief system and understanding. And so that evolves over time as well, right? We have to, with practice, we learn to shift from the conflict and lack to harmony and abundance. When we see something in front of us, rather than saying, oh, this is going to really ruin the day, this is going to ruin my life, it's going to, I'm going to lose this job or whatever it is. When we let go of that and we start seeing the positive, then we start attracting all the things that happened. There's a part of your brain that's called the reticular, I forget the exact name, but anyway, it's like if you buy a red car, all of a sudden you're going to see red cars everywhere, right? And your brain is just programmed that way. And so that's why the optimists see the positive things happening in the world, and the pessimists are going to find every last negative thing that's happening, right? And see it as being more powerful than it really is. It's really an illusion. Now, another quote from Ernest Holmes is infinity. Let's see. Right here. Infinity fills all molds and always flows into new and larger molds. Within us is the possibility of unlimited experiences. It is our privilege to give birth to them. So spirit is always flowing. I have this image of like a fire hose just always flowing. And so we just put the cup in front of it or the mold in front of it that it fills it. So as we reach higher, we reach out for something bigger. And so we go from having this little cup to maybe a bowl, to maybe being a big serving bowl, and then, eventually a big barrel. And finally, it's that infinite possibilities. When you let go, when you really know that you're one with spirit, and you can just feel it moving. The limits of our old ways of being, are something that we've practiced, right? So we've learned what works. We've learned what to take and what to leave behind. But as we practice, we gradually build up our consciousness and our spiritual muscles. And we build up our strength, our endurance, and our resilience to be able to see through whatever's going on, to see that spiritual truth and see that as what is coming forward. So regardless of what the appearance is, we see that truth underneath. And the story I told last week, sometimes what we see looks like it's going to be a really negative thing, but it might turn out to be a blessing in disguise, right? Now, when you go through you're climbing a mountain, you go to steeper and steeper terrain, perhaps more rockier and rockier. And I love how Rick and Marie, they've been all the way around the Tahoe-Rim Trail, right? But as they went on their hiking, they practiced. They would go for a few hours. They would go for day hikes. They would go for shorter hikes and check out what's in the backpack. I know when I was younger, and we went on my first backpacking, one of my first trips, there was a rule that the body weight of your backpack and all the things that are in it are supposed to be about 1/5 of your body weight, right? So for me at that time, that was 25 pounds. So I, put everything in it, and, I took a couple things out and put it back on it. It was like 30 pounds. I am not taking this 13 miles up the mountain. Thank you. So things started coming out, and so then it was like, okay, I don't need a brush. Comb is sufficient, right? And, I definitely need all this food. Well, okay, and you need water. Can't get rid of that. So what's discretionary? So finally, it was the deodorant. All right. And so I was going to go with mostly other guys that were there. I think I was the only girl on that trip. And it was my co-ed fraternity. And, but no one else had a deodorant either. So it didn't really matter. We were all bathing in the creek, and it was fine. But I do have to laugh when Michael and we went backpacking. The first time we went backpacking together, we went on this great hike up at the minarets. And so we're getting our tent set up, and we have this gorgeous view, just to die for. And one of the things that he had brought with him up the mountain was an electric razor. And that's heavy, and I just laughed and laughed. And I think that trip was the first time he grew out his beard. And I said, oh, I like that. He still has it today. So we try something different, and we learn what we can get rid of that really doesn't serve a purpose, even though we thought it did. And we make room for something new, make room for the truth. Now, when we learn, this is the whole thing about our science of mind, our spiritual practice, is we learn about these universal truths that are, regardless of what faith that you're following or what period of time, it is those same truths that are true from ancient times, and they help us find and maintain our footing. So when we get into these difficult situations, when we're trying something new, we can fall back on these spiritual principles. We can fall back on our spiritual practices to keep ourselves centered. When we get all flustered and crazy, like this morning, just stay centered, calm, know that the whole team, everyone was doing their very best to work together and resolve the issues. So, and why is that? It's partly because there's that within us that calls us forward to and upward on our journey of spiritual awakening. When we get still, it's not just us calming ourselves. There is that still small voice of spirit within us that is always there, waiting for us to listen, to turn that microphone on and listen. And so as we do that, then we get a greater understanding of ourselves as a part of that one, right? And our relationship with the self, small self, and the divine self with the capital S of who we truly are. So when we don't know where we're going, when we're on that rocky road, we can follow and trust those spiritual practices and guide us to our destination. When we were in Iceland this summer, there was a lot of pathways that go around various geothermal pools and waterfalls, and it can get pretty slippery in some of these places, and you definitely wouldn't want to fall in some of those hot pools. But they had chains, posts and then chains that you could hold on to in all of these kinds of places and hoist yourself up some of these narrow, skinny stairs. You've been to Yosemite and been on the Mist Trail up along Vernal Falls. There are about 600 steps that are made out of granite. And most of the time they're very wet and very slippery. And they have that there too. They have the chain fence or railing that you can hold on to, and make sure you have shoes with good traction, but that chain, that allows us to stay on the path and not fall. So another thing about this, when you are using the spiritual practice, and you don't want to just repeat abstract statements, and because they won't produce definite results. Yes, we want to be in alignment with science of mind principles. Yes, we want to say things that are incongruent in thought, word, and deed, though. But we have to really believe it, right? You can say the words, but without the belief, without that receptivity, without that understanding, they're just inert words that have no power. Ernest Holmes tells a story in the book, this thing called Life, about a woman who was a piano teacher. And she was always saying, God is all there is. God is the only mind there is. God is the only presence there is. But her business was not flourishing at all. She was really in dire straits. And so Ernest Holmes said that, there's no greater mistake that can be made in dealing with the law of life. We must always connect the law with what we're actually doing. It's not just something where you kind of wave your hands. No. You have to really connect it at that heart level and believe it, be receptive. And so he recommended to this piano teacher that she affirm her statements in the present, and that she see her hearts and desires and feel them as already accomplished, right? Feel that as really being here. And so what she then began to say is, I have a service to render. My business is to teach the piano. That was her divine calling. Whoever needs my service, whomever I can peculiarly and personally benefit, those whom I can particularly aid in this art are irresistibly drawn to me now, this moment, this day. Right? Very different than God is all there is. God is the only mind there is. God is the only presence there is. Well, yeah, that's true. But turning it into this manifestation and feeling it, opening our heart, and just like it lifts us up to see that positive possibility. And that's where it comes to life. When we're practicing the presence, that is recognizing the principles of oneness, love, and creation, the power and presence of spirit right here and right now in our lives, we become aware of that infinite energy, infinite possibilities of oneness and what it really means. We feel like that is feeling that divine energy coursing through your veins and through every situation. Now, when we're talking about oneness, we're going to see the road. We're going to see the destination. We'll see where we are now, the detours and the side roads, the bumps in the roads, the other cars on the road, pedestrians, all those little rocks and those big boulders in the road. But all of it is a part of God. And we feel that energy, just as we feel, those moments when you just feel your body is so full of life and energy, and just, it's just like you can feel the energy flowing through the room because you feel so alive. Well, as we practice oneness, as we practice that power and presence of God, we feel that in everything. We can feel it in the chairs and the other people that are in the room. We feel that we're one. We feel, the light and the energy. We feel the trees growing, the wind gently blowing, the storm that came through. It is all part of that life. And so as we feel that wholeness, we also let go of those old beliefs, let go of those old things that were familiar but no longer served us. In John Waterhouse, in his book, The 5 Steps to Freedom, he says, the way we live our lives is our prayer. Our beliefs and conceptions drive our lives. So as we believe, that is what's done unto us. And so if we want to see what we're thinking, we can look at our life and see what we're manifesting. The bowling is a great learning activity. When you first time, when you're, maybe a kid or even as an adult, you get this ball, and they give you little ones, the duck balls, if you remember those when you were a kid. But you have this big ball, and I can remember just walking up, as a kid, and you kind of sit it down and go clunk, and it rolls down, right? And you have and it maybe it's going to go into the gutter, and so you kind of, so you could just forget it, if it always goes in the gutter. But what are you going to do? You're going to try again. And so, then you get it to go down the middle. And then, then you learn to do the whole step and have it go down, and you're, figured out, okay, I need to be just a little bit left or a little bit right of that head pin, and it's going to knock them all down, or most of them down. And then you learn to, another step is then you learn to hit just one pin in a weird place, and just where do you make it? Is it going to curve? You learn and you master it. And finally, if you're really getting good, you can hit a split, 2 pins on opposite sides and get them both down, or get a spare. So but it's something that it just takes practice. And it is the same thing with our spiritual practice. We try it, and and we go back, and Spirit's always there, willing to let us learn. It's willing to go beyond that comfort zone. And a woman named Mary O'Malley, she asked the question, what if the way is the way? What if these rocks in the road are the lessons that teach us where our false beliefs are, and what's getting in our way, and what is wide open for us? What are the things that we want to attract, right? So it's not that it's such a negative thing, and sometimes we make it more negative than it is, but it's just like hitting the gutter when you're bowling. Okay, so take the charge off of it, and just, we're learning, and be gentle with yourself, right? And with others that are doing it. So we use our spiritual practices to become present, to embody resilience, right? It's a great thing to be there. And then we practice our disciplined methodologies to quiet the mind and the body and open our awareness. And we turn to that higher self and we say, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. Right? So, it may be something that you got turned your life around, but you hit this new snag. Or maybe it's an old one that just comes up again after years and it's resurrected and you've got PTSD about it or something. And so, but you've got stronger muscles now. You've got more practice. You're ready to deal with this big, what do you call it? Bomb that's been hidden underneath. But you're ready for it this time, and how to diffuse it and let it go. Right. So when we judge the road as rocky, what do? We remember that God is all there is, and God is the absolute and the relative, the tangible and the intangible, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual aspects of reality. It is all God. They're not separated. They are one flowing into the other. So divine order exists regardless of appearances. And there is nothing, remember that there's nothing in the outer world, because it's all part of spirit. There's nothing where there is not sufficient internal wisdom and strength and peace to deal with it, to shift it, to move to something. There is always that spiritual guide that is there. I think one of the rocky roads in my life has been going through breast cancer experience. And so I asked, what was the lesson that I needed to learn through all of that? Yes, I did all the AMA stuff. I didn't try and do it. I had tried for 10 years to do it with just prayer when I had some precursors. But, finally, when I say, I think I do want to live, and I don't have to prove anything by doing it only with prayer. So Science of Mind, we talk about prayer and a pill. So, I did the whole 9 yards with the surgery and the chemotherapy and the radiation and whatever. And here I am. So it worked. But there were spiritual things that I needed to learn. Right. And so I was a strong and determined woman. I had accomplished many things in my life. I was willing to be persistent, and I had worked hard towards my goals. But, I also learned that I'm not invulnerable. I learned that I can't control everything. It's not, I have my mortal power. I can't take care of all the people in my life. I have to take care of me. And that's important. Because, God created me, and I'm just as important as all these other people that I was trying to take care of. And also, this was a big one for me. There are things that I don't know, and I don't need to know them. I don't need to know the how of everything, or the why of everything. It's just some things just are, and we need to learn to trust and just be, and allow spirit to just flow, and let life be simple, and enjoy that beauty of the moment of just being one. When you get into that feeling of oneness, there is no time or space. There is no here and there. There is no other. There is just only this oneness with no separation. And it is amazing experience when you reach that cosmic consciousness level. And so in our, coming around in one more area that I'd like to look at is in our Center for Spiritual Living, Tahoe-Truckee. We've had this good to great vision that we came up with, and we're so excited about it. We can see it and feel it, but we're dealing with COVID, right? We have this children's program, and we've had several false starts, and it's still trying, but we're not there yet. And we thought that on June 20th we had our grand reopening after COVID. We made it through, and we're back with masks again, and even people that are vaccinated and dealing with it another way. So what do we need to release to get beyond this? And so we've got that. So it's been, asking at the spiritual level, what are we afraid of? What are we holding on to? What's holding us back? We can ask God, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. What is it that's for our center? Where is our growth spot, our growing edge, right? We've got some, are we looking backwards? Are we looking forward? Or are we learning to be in the present? And it's not just about the dream, but it's about right now. serving and being whole and complete. You know, we have some financial issues that we've been trying to deal with. But there is infinite flow in spirit. And so it's a matter of trusting and knowing, like some of the events that got canceled that were in our budget we were going to have. Well, we have this retreat coming up and it's turning into something that's going to be even greater than we'd imagined. So it's going to replace some of the smaller things that weren't occurring. So Spirit's got an idea. Spirit's got this. We just need to listen and figure it out and be open and receptive to what's coming. And the retreat, and since I am mentioning it, it's called Nurturing the Spirit Within, Self-Care in Turbulent Times. And Reverend Karen Drucker, who's a musician, wonderful speaker, she's going to be the lead facilitator. I'll be assisting her. But it's a time when we can get together to nurture ourselves, right? And our spiritual community. We can cut through all of these illusions and fears and just let them go and get past this rocky section of the road and take care of ourselves. Reestablish our connection with spirit. And when that's whole, we know that we're one. We have everything, right? We can embrace the spiritual truth of who we are, a magnificent spiritual being, each one of us. Let's take that to prayer. In this moment, all of the moving back and forth and looking for new ground, all the challenges that come up around us and in our personal lives and in our center and throughout the world, we remember that underneath it all, there is only the one. And that there is no conflict, that there is no pushing and pulling at that level of oneness. There is only that flow of wholeness and peace and love and light and joy. And so I let go of anything that I've been holding on to, particularly those things that don't serve me. And I take this moment to be courageous and dive into the possibilities of spirit. Dive into the unknown, dive into the possibility that all of this can resolve itself. Just as the fires do come to an end, that there is a shift occurring, that it is that calling of spirit that is moving through each one of us individually and collectively to do what we need to do to support and preserve the environment, to support and preserve our families and our nations, to bring wholeness and peace into the world, as Reverend Rick was talking about, and to allow ourselves to do what it is ours to do. That is where we start. And as we, one by one, shift from fear and being a part of the problem to shift to being part of the solution, shift to building that new, stronger, easier, more fuller expression of spirit in the world, we see it unfolding before us. And we rejoice as our friends and family, people that we know and don't know, near and far, join us one by one by one. And so it is this choir of voices that are all singing in perfect harmony, supporting each other. And it is beautiful as it unfolds. And this is the truth. This is the spiritual truth of who we are in all ways, at all levels. And so as we let go and let God be this truth, our life is full of goodness and mercy. And we allow that love and compassion to flow in and through us, loving us and loving each person, each situation, each activity, and blessing it all as an expression of the divine. I am thankful for the times to be still. I am thankful for the times to be active and in the flow of just moving forward. I am thankful that all is well. I'm thankful that I know this at the very depth of my being, and anything that would obscure it dissolves. And there is this knowingness that is unshakable, for it is the spiritual truth. And so I accept it, I receive it. My unbelief is now replaced with faith. Faith in spirit, flowing in me, through me, and as all of creation. I believe in God, and therefore I believe in me and my life, and the life of this center, and the life of this whole planet, and all of the life thereon. I thank you, Mother, Father God, for this healing, for this knowing, for the gifts that are so many here and now. And I let this word go, knowing that it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. So I'd like to introduce Angelika again for one more song. And this one's called Tide of Grace. And the tide of grace is bringing us back home, calling us to discover our true self, our divine self. And divine love is growing in our hearts, she sings. And as we follow that path, our journey of awakening, as we grow on the outside, we are able to navigate the rocky road and the wide open road, both of them, right? Because we are growing on the inside at the heart level. All is well and all is God. We are leaning into spirit with its love and support and wisdom, and letting spirit express itself in us and as us, for that is who we truly are.
Thank you, Reverend Pam. That was very profound. So one of the lines in the chorus of this song, which I actually received in 2005, is "Divine flames glow brightly in the dark." And to me, that speaks of that deeper faith and that deeper trust that you spoke about in your beautiful talk. So even if we don't see them or feel them, these flames are consuming that which is no longer needed. And the tide of change is bringing us home.
Divine hands are clearing our path. Divine flames glow brightly in the dark. Divine love is growing in our hearts. The tide of grace is bringing us back home. Divine hands are clearing our path. Divine flames glow brightly in the dark. Divine love is growing in our hearts. This tide of grace is bringing us back home. The is bringing us back home. We have walked courageously and searched so long for meaning. But now it's time to let grace be in charge of new beginnings. Divine hands are clearing our path. Divine flames glow brightly in the dark. Divine love is growing in our hearts. This tide of grace is bringing us back home. Divine hands are clearing our path. Divine flames glow brightly in the dark. Divine love is growing in our hearts. This tide of grace is bringing us back home.
Which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. All I share with life returns to me blessed and multiplied. So if you are here, we have our offering baskets are here now by the door. We also have some envelopes there for the building fund or the general fund if you'd like to use those. If you're online, you can mail in your donation, or you can go to our newly updated website and make a donation there to either the operating fund or the general fund. We have our offertory song. If you would join me.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. I am thankful, so grateful. I am grateful, so thankful. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God.
Karen. And so we have, as we bring all of our offerings to the center of our time, talent, and treasure, we are grateful for God as our source for all of it, for all of the good things that fill our lives full to flowing with good things, with abundance that support the center and all of its activities and fill each one of us and our lives with all that we need and more to share and to serve. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And so it is. So I want to welcome everyone back into the sanctuary today, where hopefully we get to stay continuing to do this for a while. not for a while, for a long time. And so we're all grateful. We're grateful that you're all here today. And so it's now my pleasure to welcome our Associate Minister, Reverend Rick Kearney, with our announcements.
That didn't work. We are happy to be back in our sanctuary today. Everyone here, whether vaccinated or not, is wearing a mask and practicing social distancing while inside the building. Our office is open Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 2:30. So please remember to wear your mask when you visit with us, or you can call or email us at any time to ask a question or request prayer. You can find the announcements I'm going to share with you in our constant contact, as well as on our webpage, tahoecsl.org. Also, you can follow us on Facebook or on Instagram. YouTube videos of our Sunday service are usually uploaded by noon on Monday to our YouTube channel. And so you can get the links for those in our newsletter or on the website. Watch your Sunday services online at your convenience. Michael, please. Thank you. Our September theme is Rising Higher, and next week I'll be the speaker and talking on the topic, And Still I Rise. Karen Drucker will be providing our musical support, and Shirley Clark will be our practitioner of the day. Our website is live, and I invite you to check it out at tahoecsl.org. There's lots of good information there, to include detailed information on the upcoming annual retreat. So do check that out. Also taking place right now is the spiritual economics class. The first meeting was last week. So this is essentially the last call. The bell rings, and this is the chance to get involved with spiritual economics this Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. Brenda Hildorn is our instructor there, and she does a great job each and every time. Michael? The new Spiritual Living Circle is something that will start September 29th, taking place at For Goodness Sake building in Truckee, as well as online. I'll be leading that, and we will be having discussions on various topics, including articles in the Science of Mind magazine. If you were to sign up in advance for this program, we can actually get you a free subscription to the Science of Mind online version of the magazine. And that way you can read ahead and become familiar with the topics we're going to discuss. Thank you. We do have stargazing coming up on October 1st. Justin Biddler and Nancy O'Neill will bring their scopes out for us to share. Apparently it is going to be a wonderful, wonderful evening with children of all ages and adults as well. After sunset at 7:30 at the uphill end of Tahoe Woods Boulevard in Tahoe City. Thank you. I mentioned this in passing, but let me speak in more detail. Our annual retreat will be taking place this fall at the Ananda Village with Karen Drucker as our special guest facilitator. Rev Pam will also be facilitating. Our theme is Nurturing the Spirit Within, self-care for personal time. Now, this is a great topic for our current situation, and I invite you to learn more about this and to get involved. We will be having music, activities, discussions, and if you have not been to Ananda lately, I invite you to take part in this retreat and see what everyone is talking about. Penny. Absolutely. Right, we do have an upper limit, and so if we don't reach that with our own community, there will be other communities joining us as well. So please make sure you get your reservation in now to ensure that you have a spot when we have our retreat. Thank you. We have a lot of classes going on right now. Chris Worcester's Tai Chi is on Thursdays. Mary McEnany and Penny putting on a meditation each Thursday as well at 5 p.m. with an energization exercise at 4:30. And Sue Pipel will be returning to her role, leading Course of Love and a book study in the month of October. So I invite you to check those out. And with that, I turn over the mic to Rev Pam.
Can't hear you.
We have, but there are, as you can see, there's a lot going on to support you. And I do want to introduce our practitioners, because this is the heart of our center. We believe in prayer, and we know that prayer works. And so here with us in the sanctuary today, we have Shirley Clark, Michael Brandman. Our practitioner of the day was Reverend Rick Kearney. And then online, who do we have online, Rick?
Carol DeBon.
All right. So we have a full group. So if you need prayer, please speak with one of them after the service. They'd be glad to pray with you. We also have a list over here by the prayer box of all of our practitioners with their phone numbers, if you would like to get together with them during the week or for a longer session. And we also, the prayer requests, you can put those in the box here, or you can go online, put one in through the website, or you can just simply call the office if you would like prayer. And so, there's lots of things to pray for, and we would love to add you and your family if there's something that you guys need. This is also our time to welcome our children from our Growing Children's program. They plan to meet outside when it's not smoky, and we thought it was going to be raining today, so we don't have the program set up, but we invite them. And so we have, if you would say our affirmation with me. We see you, we hear you, we love you, you are a gift from God. And so it is. All right, so now we're going to form a circle for our You Are the Face of God song that's sung by Karen Drucker. And before that, we're going to have our affirmation slide. And if you can read that, is it kind of washed out with the color? Okay, good. All right, so if you would repeat with me. Every step of the way is an extension of my faith. The further I go, the higher I rise. So let's join for our song. Oh, let me put my mask on. So I guess we're not going to belt it out. We're just going to be kind of quiet. And so as we're standing here holding hands, I'm going, okay, well, maybe we should have done this, but there's plenty of sanitizer around the room.
I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
All right, thank you. Oh, and Rick, maybe you could keep that your Zoom going, and people could go say hello.